Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hi. Before we start our video presentation, I would like to introduce ourselves. Firstly, I am Siti Nakia binti Zawawi and most of my friends I know Amina Shafiza binti Azman, they know Mazira binti Muhammad No. In video presentation, we already summarized the topic about searching network in digital forensic. Generally, the definition of the digital forensic is the application of the sign-to-bit identification, collection, examination, analysis the data while preserving the integrity of information and maintaining the strict chains of the custody for the data. So, we hope that you guys can take some knowledge from our video presentation. Let's watching!
When you discover that your enterprise has been breached or has been a victim of cybercrime, your initial thoughts go to solving the immediate problem. But for true cyber professionals, that's only the beginning. It is important for cybersecurity professionals to undergo a thorough process of identifying, preserving, analyzing, and presenting digital evidence. This process is known as digital forensics. Since the 1970s, the field of digital forensics has evolved to keep up with the widespread adoption of technology and the means in which these technologies are used for criminal activity. The use of computers for financial crimes in the 1980s helped shape digital forensic methods into what they are today. With the advent of modern computing, a new landscape for criminal activity has emerged. The need to gather new forms of evidence turned digital forensics into a vital tool used by law enforcement in the pursuit and conviction of crimes, both computer-based, such as human exploitation, cyberstalking, and cyber terrorism, but also computer-facilitated, such as illegal data breaches that result in the theft of information. To support this new discipline, specialized tools have also emerged to assist investigators in the capture, analysis, and preservation of evidence that might arise during the course of investigating that criminal activity. Any part of an enterprise system can be vulnerable to criminal activity, data theft, or unauthorized penetration. Forensic analysts must make sure to analyze storage media, hardware and operating systems, networks, and applications to locate the point of compromise. The mission criticality of the compromised application, system, or network determines the level of investigation. When conducting a forensic investigation, it is important to follow the digital forensic scientific process. This 8-step process covers the entire evidence gathering procedure, from data collection to examination and analysis to reporting. In the data collection phase, investigators obtain search authority, document the chain of custody, and hash and duplicate all evidence. In the examination and analysis phase, investigators validate their tools, perform analysis, and reproduce those methods and outcomes for assurance. The reporting phase is when conclusions are made and expert evidence or testimony is presented. Since investigators may be required to present evidence as part of expert testimony, using this scientific process increases the likelihood that any evidence found will be fully admissible in a court of law. Another important consideration for organizations, should they be the victim of a breach, is the possible mishandling of evidence by untrained staff. To mitigate this risk, an organization's evidence preservation considerations could involve bringing in either law enforcement or an external forensic specialist, should legal remedies such as criminal prosecution of the perpetrator be considered. Computer systems, networks, and mobile devices can all be utilized in or fall victim to a cyber attack. Each device type has different intrusion methods and requirements for evidence handling. This has led to the formation of 3 distinct branches of digital forensics. Computer forensics may rely on the need to create a disk image to preserve evidence, or virtual drives may be used to emulate an entire machine. Network forensics focuses on the monitoring and analyzing of computer network traffic. Mobile devices present their own unique challenges, due in part to memory volatility, as low-power DRAM used in smartphones can lose data when powered off. Thus, proper handling procedures and adherence to the documented chain of custody must be followed to protect and preserve such evidence. Regardless of where an attack occurs, the enterprise cybersecurity program should have policies that address all forensics considerations, such as contacting law enforcement, monitoring, and conducting regular reviews of forensic policies, guidelines, and procedures. This should take into account the need to preserve and maintain evidence, as well as other requirements such as accreditation. For example, in situations where cardholder data is involved, as well as the decision to involve outside specialists. When you discover that your enterprise has been breached, digital forensics can ensure that best practices are observed throughout the evidence gathering process. Without digital forensics, evidence can go unnoticed or become compromised, and systems may remain vulnerable to additional attacks. As cybercriminals get more sophisticated and data breaches become more damaging to enterprises, digital forensics and the digital forensics scientific process will continue to provide a means to bring cybercriminals to justice in our increasingly complex and fast-moving technological landscape.
Cybercrime invasion. Oh, yesterday I saw at TV they talk about Malindo have been Latif at Malindo Air. You know about that?
Same to me. I heard before this. About the cybercrime, there are many types of cybercrime in Malaysia, which is identity, transaction fraud, advanced fee fraud, hacking, privacy, phishing, and many more.
Wow, so many
Yes, the crime in Malaysia is so many.
So now, how we to get the collect data from them?
Usually, they have a scope investigate in digital forensic, such as LAN, ASP, and cloud computing.
What is that?
Let me explain.
Local area network is a computer network that connects computers within the limited area, such as home, school, or office building. The terms LAN and WAN are often mixed, and on this picture we can see the difference. The LAN would be just one house with PCs inside of it connected to each other, and the WAN would be many of those houses that are geographically far apart, but again all connected to each other. They would form a wide area network. The main standard used for connecting PCs over LAN is the Ethernet, and the explanation of the Ethernet can be quite complex, as we can see on many of those internet websites, but I'm gonna try and keep it fairly simple for you, just so that you can understand. Simply said, Ethernet is a technology which allows us to connect multiple devices to form a local area network. If you want to create your own Ethernet local area network, you'll need a Cat5 cable or the Category 5 cable. It's the main component used for creating Ethernet LANs. At the end of each Ethernet cable, there's an RJ45 plug with 8 separate wires inside, lined in the exact order. I've seen many people confuse the Ethernet cables with the standard telephone cables, and in reality there's a big difference, because the Ethernet cable has 8 wires, whereas the telephone cable has only 4. The two other important devices for making networks are a router and a switch. The router usually connects two different LANs together and exchanges data packets between them, whereas the switch expands the single LAN network with various devices such as other PCs, gaming consoles, smart TVs, servers, and a bunch of other stuff. This here is a basic LAN network with the switch being connected to the router and the router connected to the internet. There are multiple PCs connected to the switch along with the printer and the server. If, for example, you want to print something from this PC, it would be very easy since every device connected to a LAN can exchange data with each other, thus making the interaction very easy.
Here you are working at your computer. Huh, what's that noise? Suddenly, a meteorite crashes to Earth, specifically into your living room. Sadly, your computer is no more, but thankfully all your music, photos, and important documents are stored online, in the cloud. When something is stored in the cloud, that means it's stored on internet servers instead of on your computer. It's like having an extra hard drive, one that you can access anywhere and anytime you're connected to the internet. In the past, you only had a home computer and the software you installed on it. Now you can take your files anywhere thanks to cloud-based applications called web apps, which run inside your internet browser. A web app that you may already use is Google Docs. It's free, you don't have to install anything to use it, and it allows you to create several different types of projects. You can access everything that you create in Google Docs from any computer or device with an internet connection. Since you only need a connected device to access the cloud, you can take your music, photos, and videos with you wherever you go. For instance, if you take a photo on your smartphone and upload it to a cloud-based photo storage service like Flickr or Picasa, you can access that photo on any of your other devices, on your computer, or even on your TV. You can share your vacation photos with friends and family while you're still on vacation. With your photos and other multimedia stored in the cloud, you'll never have to worry about losing them to a computer malfunction or rogue meteorite ever again. Storing files in the cloud is a great way to protect your important files from accidents, viruses, and more.
Oh really? But the investigators have taken first action, such as action. So, what to do for active action?
Mai, answer your question.
can use?
From here, we can use the Wireshark. Okay, from the Wireshark, we can capture all kind of IP address from, you can see from port A ke port B, all kind of packets, all the kind of byte. Okay, you send packet A to ke packet B, pack A ke packet B, all kind of the IP address, all kind of port they go, we can capture by the Wireshark.
Okay, picking up from last video, I'm back in the control options again. I have changed a couple options. I put the capture filter back to the default of picking up everything. I left it as local, and I'm letting it collect data over the Ethernet. I have all these options highlighted, so that way it automatically goes through the packets in real time and scrolls through them as they're displayed. I'm going to leave the default of enabling network name resolution off. Okay, then once you have all your options set into place, you want to click start, and as soon as you click start, it's going to capture every packet that is being sent through your computer, because we are going through the local interface, and anywhere it goes on the network, whether that be a router or anything on the internet. So I'm going to hit start. Now there's not much traffic going on because I'm not really doing anything yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up Firefox. Type in the Google here. I'm going to type in the Wireshark homepage. I'm going to Google for that, and then I'm going to go to the website. And just that, we're going to stop the capture for right now. And just by going to the Wireshark homepage, you're going to see this option got turned off. How do we fix that? Okay. You're going to see we captured 200 packets. And that's just the Google search for Wireshark and then going to Wireshark's page. Now you're going to see some ARP IP resolution protocols, some DNS, TCP, everything's in there, HTTP. And then, so we're just going to click in here to show you some options of what it's going to show you. You can go into the frame, and this will give you the time that it was sent, the date, and what the time zone was that the host machine was sending from. Epoch time is the time from the beginning of recorded time in seconds, so that could be decoded into this time up here. Wireshark also displays what the time was from the previous packet being captured till this packet being captured and being displayed, the reference time from when the first packet got captured, so in essence the time that you started the capture in general. It gives you the frame length in bytes and bits, gives you the frame number, so this was the 156th packet that was captured. Gives you various flags for the frame. The protocols used Ethernet because it was being sent through an Ethernet connection, IP because it was an internet protocol, and TCP in this case because it was sent through web. Then it gives you the reasoning why it colored the different packets, different colors up in here, because they are color coded, and that's an option you could change, which I'll show later. Then you go in Ethernet 2, and what this information is going to give you is the destination, and in this case this packet was being sent to my computer, so this is going to give you my MAC address and my IP address, and what type of version it was sent over. In this case it was unicast, so it was only sent to me. And then you're also going to see the source, and this is the terminal that it came from. Not necessarily a computer, but it could also be a router or a server and so forth. And that's all contained in the Ethernet. And even in here you could see the quick option where it tells you the IPv6 number. And then you can go into the IP protocol and this is for IP version 4. Again, it gives you the IP of the source and destination, and in here it's going to give you different header information, the flags that are set, and it's going to even give you the breakdown of what the different flags are for each bit that's set. Scroll down here, and this header saying that the checksum is saying that the checksum has correlated with what it should be, meaning that the packet was sent uninterrupted or uncorrupted. Close this. And then you're going to go to the TCP protocol, which was the other protocol, because it has listed, if you remember back here in the frame, it lists Ethernet, IP, and TCP. So in that case, it's going to show you all the protocols that were used, such as the Ethernet, the IP, and the TCP, and then the various information that was sent through those. TCP here showing that it was an HTTP, so it was a web page, and it went through the standard port of 80, or in this case it's source, so that means yeah, it was coming from internet, and the port it was received on. And then the acknowledgement number and the sequence number. Acknowledgement number being that it had telling the sending computer that it has indeed received this packet, also indicated by the acknowledge flag that's set here, saying that it acknowledged the packet information that is received. And this is just a general overview of a packet. You may be wondering why this is actually black with the red, and that's because somewhere something has not come through correctly. And in this case it's the internet protocol, and if you go drill your way down through here, it'll show you what the problem was. And here you can see that it actually failed its checksum, meaning that the packet did not come in complete.
Just now, had been mentioned Nakia about Wireshark. How about the hardware?
The hardware that we use are switch and router. Okay, let's my computer explain to you.
Okay, okay.
1. Don't analyze device over network.
Okay.
Okay, the main hardware we use is router and switch. So first, don't analyze device over network. Second, enable logging before connecting to the device. Third, record all the volatile information first. And the last, record time date steps.
Meet Jim. Jim is concerned about the dangers of leaving his devices unprotected online. He wants to prioritize protecting his family's privacy and identities, keeping it out of the hands of hackers, data miners, and thieves. So he needs an internet security solution for the growing collection of gadgets, from smart home products to streaming players to smartphones and much more. So Jim signed up for a VPN service. He quickly protected his PC and smartphone with VPN apps, but struggled for hours to get VPN working on all his smart gadgets that don't support VPN. Frustrated, Jim quit trying, leaving his smart TV, security cameras, and gaming consoles unencrypted. What if there was a complete home internet protection solution? The Privacy App Router from Flash Routers. Flash Routers are the networking experts with 7+ years of experience, offering the easiest way to encrypt your entire Wi-Fi network with one simple setup. Flash Routers, the leading VPN service router provider, has created an exclusive router privacy app streamlining VPN setup and configuration. It is the easiest way to change your VPN location from a router. The Flash Routers app is so simple to use that Jim got proactive, securing his home and his family, eliminating the hassle of device-by-device VPN setup. Jim has now regained his internet privacy and protected his loved ones, and you can too. Flash Routers, the leader in custom router and VPN privacy solutions.
Okay, so you've gone to the local mediocre buy because you've got some stuff in your house that you need to connect to the internet. The slack-jawed dude at the entrance points you to aisle 9 3/4, so you spend 10 minutes wandering around trying to figure out what that means, until finally you find yourself staring at a wall of modems, routers, switches, and access points that all look more or less the same. Plastic boxes with some Ethernet ports on them and maybe some antennas. What is the difference between all these gadgets? Well, let's start with the most fundamental piece of equipment you need to get online, the modem. This processes the signal from your internet service provider, or ISP, that's being carried over a phone, cable, fiber, or satellite link, and interfaces with your own home network. If you're just connecting one wired device to the internet, a modem is all you need. Plug your computer into the Ethernet port on the modem, and you are ready to rock, with no configuration required in most cases. But these days, it's far more likely that you have multiple things you want to get online, a whole host of computers, phones, tablets, and game consoles, not to mention that smart fridge that you're having second thoughts about. This is where a router comes in. A router will create your very own local network, with each device you want to connect assigned its own local IP address, kind of like unit numbers in an apartment building that all share the same street address. So your router then makes sure that web traffic gets to the appropriate device within your home, so your data packets don't end up going to your parents instead. These days, most of us tend to think of routers as wireless, but there are plenty of routers that operate only to hook up wired devices to your local network. So a router isn't actually wireless by definition. We only think this because modern wireless routers are a combination device consisting of a router, a switch, sometimes a modem, and a wireless access point, or AP. This is the piece that actually communicates with your mobile devices over the air. Although standalone access points that plug into the router aren't all that common for home networks, they're often found in public places where many people need to connect wirelessly to the same network, such as in airports or hotels. If you have a lot of wired devices and the few ports on your wireless router aren't enough, the solution for you is an additional network switch. These can turn one Ethernet port into many, but usually need to be connected to a router to handle assigning IP, remember those local addresses, to all the devices on your local network, something you can learn more about here. And if you've ever wondered what a network bridge is, it's simply a device that links devices together by having inbound and outbound Ethernet ports. So a switch is just a bridge with a lot of outputs. Bringing us finally to our old friend, the network hub. And yes, I do mean old, as you might have one collecting dust in your attic, and it's kind of hard to find them in stores anymore. You see, hubs are sort of like switches, but instead of analyzing incoming traffic and deciding which device it should go to, hubs are essentially glorified splitters that just blast the same network traffic to all outbound ports, usually resulting in lots of network congestion that seriously limits speeds. Because of this significant shortcoming, hubs were phased out in favor of more intelligent switches as network and internet speeds increased. So if you do happen to see one on sale somewhere, it's almost always better to opt for a switch instead, unless you really like old tech and you store everything on zip drives, just to be contrary.